Welcome to an all-new episode of
Go.
Talking the Mayans, our last one of Season 2. Really excited to talk about this episode, the end of the season, what it might mean for next season, some new news about what's coming up, and yep, we got a lot to talk about. So I'm going to introduce my co-host, Kinte. Kinte, how are you?
I'm doing really good.
So we took a little bit of a break, and
Mayans.
we didn't get to talk about the episode prior, episode 9, but I think we've got plenty to sort of roll all into episode 9 and 10 together, and then we'll have some final thoughts about where this season ended and where things might pick up for next season. So let's start sort of at the very at the biggest event of this episode. And let's sort of get some perspective on what happened, because I think everything that happened from that one event, we can sort of spider out into all the other events. I'm going to take one small pause, though, and say that the final episode of the Mayans, I honestly feel like is on a collision course in the best of possible ways, on a collision course with very similar storytelling to Sons of Anarchy. And for that, I applaud them and give them a lot of credit, because there are some very, very easy correlations to make here. And I like it. Yes, I like it. I'm definitely full of puns. You know that.
Get it easy.
So what did you think? Give me first, before we go into our first big event, what did you sort of feel like was the overall mood of this last episode, and how did you feel about the way that things got handled?
Overall, I've loved this season, and I enjoyed every episode to a certain degree. There were things I, didn't love about some episodes, and even in this finale, you've talked about, and it didn't bother me as much, but more so until really it started bothering me later into the season. But for the most part, it's entertainment. It's entertaining, and that's one of the biggest sins. You can't be not entertaining. So
I agree, and I think there were some very solid performances, especially in this last episode. There were also some really big sort of surprising character descents that definitely I didn't see coming as much. And also, just as sort of a, yes, I have to eat some humble pie here. My theory about who the daddy for Adelita's baby was totally shot down, because we have confirmation from Potter that, oh no, Angel is the baby daddy. So I guess that was a little too far off in conspiracy theory land. Oh well.
Yeah. Yeah, I never did buy that one that you were selling, but hey, you're my co-host, so I just rolled with it. But
I kind of am too, based on where I see that I'm glad that's going for this next season, because I think that it will draw the harder, well, harder isn't really a good word, but it'll draw the more solid performances that that Angel really brings to the screen in a more solidified way, I think, for next season. And I do expect to see Adelita play a big part in next season. I don't know to what capacity, but we know that the actress was actually pregnant when they were doing the shooting. So, my feeling is, yeah.
Right. Talking about method. She was so really method. She's like, I'm going to get really pregnant so that I can really.
Okay, so let's grab the big event and let's talk about it. Dita confesses to, she confesses to basically putting out a hit on both Felipe and Isabel, and that sets into motion a number of things. We know Dita felt really, really, really bad about it, so much so that she was ready to say, okay, well, this is the end for me, and how am I gonna, how am I gonna deal with all of this overarching grief and sadness, and I feel so guilty. So she invites Felipe, but she also invites Easy and Angel out to the middle of the desert, and knowing that Felipe won't be able to kill her, gives the opportunity to Easy and Angel. And who seizes upon it? Easy. And he did it. Yeah, actually, he kind of did. Okay. So that's the big event. So
Easy.
One, how did you feel about that? And then I'll give you what I thought about what was disturbing to me about that.
I absolutely hated it. I hate it. First of all, it didn't make no sense. In the history of ever, has anyone ever? I don't think that anyone peacefully lays down in the middle of the desert, pours gasoline over themselves, and light themselves on fire. I don't think that happens. So, like, who would you fool? Like, you would have to be. You don't need to be Sherlock Holmes to realize there's something's afoot, right? So that didn't make sense. And then, of course, their tire tracks and all that. So that was stupid. I I just didn't like the way that she went out. It was disturbing, and I know that's what they were going for, but I'm not a big fan of it.
I'll tell you what, I found two things very disturbing about it. One, yes, the gigantic plot hole of basically Dita believing somehow that she could convince Miguel and everybody else who she knows is knowing that they are part of the cartel and knowing that micro minutia is sort of what they deal in terms of finding loopholes and little things to exploit, thinking that they would believe that she's self-immolated is ridiculous. I did find that to be ridiculous. The other thing, though, that I think was even more disturbing for me is, and this is where I am conflicted a little bit because of the Jax kind of correlation. They have spent 2 seasons getting Easy ready to be, I'm not a prospect anymore, I'm a big boy now. And he's a full-fledged member of the gang. And this is where he takes his path to the dark side. Again, I think we talked about this before. It's easy to see where the string pulls and why it's important that he be the one that sort of, ended the storyline. Okay, I can kind of see that. In retrospect, I can kind of see that. What I can't see is the man that they have created Easy to be would flip so quickly that he could kill a woman. I don't care whether I'm not saying that like he doesn't have a good reason. I'm saying he has spent all of the last 2 seasons being not that person. And now he is that person. And it's a little jarring to me that that's where Easy gets to end the season. So that, I don't know if you agree with that. Let me hear what you have to say.
I mean, I don't. What's the difference if it's a woman or a man? I mean, this is 2019. We have equal rights, so women can get strangled.
Well, she's an old woman. I don't know. It just felt really.
The old woman that killed my mama. I'm sorry.
It just felt weird.
The old woman that killed my mama would get strangled to death and lit on fire. But that's me. I get what you're saying. It didn't go with his character, and I know he had a lot of grief about it. I would have loved to seen Felipe do it, but do it from a standpoint of so my son won't have to do it. more so, and he has rage too, right? To me, I would have preferred that, and but I think the idea behind this is that this is an evolution with Easy's character. That this is another evolution. So if there is a third season, I want to see this reflected now into his behavior going forward, because you can't do that, because this really kind of, in a way, somewhat wraps up that story thread of who killed his mother and why and all of that, which I find it interesting that, I would have thought that they would have held on to that a little bit longer, but, it was kind of hacky the way it happened. But then again, remember, Sons of Anarchy love killing off mamas.
It's true. And I was actually going to bring that up because we've already had we've had at least 2 moms killed in the past.
What's that called? Matricide?
Yeah.
Well, that's when you kill your own mother.
Coco killed his mom. And and you're right. We don't have exactly that. But okay, so let's
and Jax killed his mom.
Killed his mom too. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna mention something that I think may actually be important for the coming season. We know that Kurt Sutter has exited or been forced to exit the Mayans, right? And without no judgment here,
they found out he wasn't Mayan, so they kicked him out.
Is that what I said? Did I say that?
No, you said that he exited the Mayans. So they found out he wasn't.
They found out he wasn't really a Mayan. Yeah, they found out he was drinking Aztec chocolate, and they were like, "No, sorry, this can't stand." Okay, so no judgment here, but I think that what might be happening a little bit is that there is an end now to, and I'm not saying that this wouldn't have happened before, because we know that the exit for Kurt Sutter was pretty sudden. But my guess is that Kurt Sutter was trying to exit the storytelling part for quite a while and sort of give it over to the people who are right now writing. And I'm guessing that right. And I'm guessing that this sort of it kind of ties a neat bow on season 1 and season 2 and opens up the door to a season 3 that is quite a bit more it's got a wider open field, right? It's got a lot of, of course we know Sons of Anarchy is going to be involved. We know that there's a lot of vendetta stuff that is still sort of out there. All of that seems incredibly wildly unexplored at the end of season 2. And that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because if he is supposed to be that one, then something big should have happened to him at the end of the season. And instead, the big thing really happens to Angel. Mm-hmm. So I'm not complaining about it, because I actually think that that Angel as a character is almost more solid than Easy. And so by extension, I think that we could get a lot out of that. And that could be really good for season 3, which, by the way, definitely has been greenlit. So
it has. Okay.
It has. Yep. So that could be really good for, in that direction. But in terms of where we leave season 2, boy, there are some seriously not just big plot holes, but there are some big character issues, I mean, but by my standards, the way that I kind of view this, you're right. It is eminently entertaining. And there's, that part I feel like is Mayan's saving grace. It is so entertaining. So you can sort of fudge around a little bit with some of these things. But the show is maturing now, and there shouldn't be, if you're renewed for a season 3, you can't be making any of these kind of rookie mistakes. And what I see at the end of season 2 feels to me like a bunch of rookie mistakes. Do you know what I'm saying?
I don't know, man, because even shows that are helmed by established people, they do similar stuff. So
Sure, and they feel like rookie mistakes too. They don't feel like they are fleshed out. It feels like they were in a rush to end the season. That's what it felt like. It felt like they were in a rush to end the season.
It seems like it's the business, though.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
No, maybe. Yeah. I mean, you could be right there. That's true. I just personally didn't find satisfaction in the end of this episode. I mean, the end of the season. I felt like it was wanting in some ways.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's
no. I mean, to a certain degree, I agree with you. It was entertaining. I love how the VM crew went down so easily. They just got mowed down at,
Oh, right.
At poor grandma's party. Grandma was just having her little party.
And she didn't deserve any of that.
Grandma's never gonna have another birthday where she gonna feel good, thanks to the Mayans. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, she didn't deserve that. That is for sure. I mean, I don't care who she was with by extension. And I'm glad actually that she escaped. I mean, really, usually I'm not super excited about that kind of stuff because it seems like such a messy thing. But in this case, I actually feel really happy that she is the one that escaped because, I mean, let's face it, the Mayans came into that birthday party and they were shooting women. They were indiscriminately killing people. They weren't just killing,
what it was is they didn't want to be like sexist and not shoot the women.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, they were sexist, because they would be saying, "Oh, why didn't you shoot us?" So I think that was the reason why they said, "You know what? We're going to show you the same respect. We're going to show the men, and we're going to shoot your asses too."
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, there's one.
As a woman, you would want that, right? You would be offended if they said, "You know what? We're not going to shoot any women." You're going to be like, "No. Show me the respect and shoot me just like you shoot a man."
So if it was done on principle, then perhaps. But this was so out of character for the Mayans. I don't know. It feels to me like the Mayans don't. This is not what they engage in, at least so far. And I don't know. I'm of a mind that what is happening here is we are bearing witness to the fact that the Mayans, as an MC, are basically changing the rules of who they are right in front of us because they want to be something else, because they started out as one thing and now they are drifting, or maybe not even drifting, maybe intentionally changing into something else. So I feel like that's actually a really good possibility. What do you think?
No, I agree. And it's funny, in the middle of the season, they kind of tried to make it seem like they were more than just, some thugs. And when they went and saved those immigrants, but then it's like at the end of the season, we're just a bunch of thugs.
And maybe another way to look at this is they didn't actually go save the immigrants. Maybe another way to look at this is, no, this was all about territory. And we don't want, we didn't want to add to collateral damage, but we wanted to set these people free because basically that would hurt. It would hurt the VM even more. And so maybe that's what it was all about, right? Like, it was never actually about freeing the immigrants because they were being held oppressively or anything like that.
But at the end, when everybody's all hugging and stuff, they showed them like they felt very proud of what they done.
I know. I see. I'm trying to justify, and I mean, I'm having a hard time because I see it that way too. I see it like they started out one way and then all of a sudden they ended as thugs, and it just sort of like makes me scratch my head. And
as a thug myself, I feel some kind of way about that.
Yeah. Does it work for you? Does that work for you?
It kind of break the thug code a little bit. But it's okay.
I can sort of, I don't know. Anyway. All right. Well, we'll move on from there and we'll just let that sort of happen because whatever, it is what it is. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Miguel and let's just talk about Miguel first. So obviously we saw a bit of him And we know that Miguel had gathered that information on Potter, and Emily gave it to Easy to use with Potter, right? And so Angel and Easy had to make a choice, and really Easy gave it over to Angel to make the choice. Like, what do you want to do with this? Do you want to use it to free Adelita, let Miguel use it to free Adelita, or do you want to use it to help Pops? And they made the conscious decision to, nope, they're going to help their dad. So how did you feel about that?
I thought it was the right decision, because remember, they had an opportunity to free her, and what happened, you know? So and you gotta blood, you know, you gotta do it. That was an imminent threat about the father, and they had to do it. So, and it got done. And the look of panic on his face was amazing, because we never seen him like that, and he lost his shit, and it was so funny. But you know what's interesting is we see him as like, he's never really gets his personal hands dirty, right? And I was really interested to see, like, you know, can he, you know, could he handle them, you know, in a fight or whatever? Because, you know, we don't assume it. We see he's as a pencil pusher, but he's been doing this stuff for a long time. He might be very formidable. You know, because we just see him as like this, you know, this little turd guy. But he didn't have no fear going up against him physically, you know. So, but, you know, he gathered himself and he took care of what he needed to,
and,
but he
and
also came back and
you know,
said,
kind of to that end,
you're going to lose, you know.
One thing
the
that I
threat
thought
about him
was
never seeing
really
his
interesting
kid.
about that dynamic was that even though Easy and Angel had the upper hand, it was clear that even though Potter was panicked by what he saw, his reaction was still stone cold. I mean, I guess his reaction in terms of what he did, right? I mean, he was able to figure out how to see, and I think that this actually in the next season may actually come back to haunt him, just because we know that there's other people around him, that he's not just working in a vacuum. And that actually seemed kind of interesting. I think it also might come back to haunt Emily and Miguel, because Miguel was really counting on that to use to free Adelita. That's a good question.
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't just ask for both.
Well, actually, you know what? Now that I say it, now that I think about it, I think I do know why. I think the reason that Angel said, no, we're going to use it to save Pops is because he understood that Adelita didn't want to be free. That her status as a martyr to the resistance is at this point more important than anything else, and that if they free her under any circumstances, then that all that leverage disappears. And so I kind of feel like maybe that's where things, and I don't think that Galindo, yeah, I mean, true, right?
But let's be the real thing. Okay. They wanted a Sophie's Choice moment.
No.
All
right, we know that Emily and Miguel are,
he didn't pick
they're going to continue to have problems. I sort of feel like Dita's death might bring them together a bit, but clearly they've got some pretty major issues that I don't think 10 years of family therapy is going to help. So, well, I'm sure that will be a prominent feature in next season as well. So, okay, so, and you know, maybe you could argue that the biggest thing to happen was actually, you know, the last 10 minutes of the show, again, when they go into the party and kill everybody. And the last thing that we kind of get a glimpse of is a Sons of Anarchy jacket. And somebody saying, F me, because clearly this is somebody that they know. And oh boy, doesn't seem like it's going to end well. So, got any speculations, any theories, what do you think? Who do you think it might be?
saw something. I haven't confirmed it that it wasn't that it. David Lavara, who plays Happy, said that it wasn't him. I don't know if that's true. This is something someone told me. I didn't see that. So I hope it isn't him, and I don't think it is. So I don't think it's Jibs either, though.
I mean, I don't think they would have responded the way that they responded.
It's got to be somebody that we know, right? To make
just an alternate universe that, no.
Right. What if it was Jax? No, just playing.
Oh God.
Like he didn't die, and he was with the VM the whole time. But no, I don't know. I have no idea who it could be, and it's totally open. So because they didn't show who it was, so I guess if we go back and look at,
do we think it's somebody big? I mean,
try to figure out who it is laying down.
Yeah, that actually would be.
It has to be
big.
somebody.
I feel like that would be big.
Tig or something. That'd be funny. But I don't think they would. He was. I think they. I'm gonna pull it up.
Mayans M.C.
Sorry about that.
Of course, it could have been somebody wearing Sons of Anarchy jacket that wasn't actually Sons of Anarchy.
Looking at.
You think?
Is so illegal. No, I don't think that was that. It has to be. That would be so lame. I can't tell who it is. Like I'm trying to look at. Like, is that? It's Juice.
I mean, I guess the point is it's cliffhanger, and we're not supposed to know. But I was just wondering if you had any theories about,
No, you know what? I have no theories because I haven't. I mean, is it some rando? I mean, would they do that though? That'd be so lame if it was just some random person. Nobody that we've never seen before. It's just a guy.
I don't know. I mean, the only Sons of Anarchy people that we've met this season were pretty top people, right?
It was Jibs, Happy, the kind of short Spanish guy, and some prospect dude, and I can't remember who else. Well, I think I have the image of all those guys together. Let me see.
But remember, they did go up
like a couple episodes
in the beginning of the season, right? They did go up to. So I mean, some people that were up there.
Okay, I'm looking. I'm looking, and wait, I don't think it can't be none of these unless they were dressed differently. Well, hold on a second. I'm going to share my screen.
It does feel like we are headed toward, a war with Sons of Anarchy, and
okay, so that is
right.
Who showed up, right? Let me pull up. I got to pull this up again. And this is who was on the ground. I just had it. Okay. Can you tell? Wait, hold on a second. Let me. Does any of these look like these guys?
I feel like it could be any of them. I feel like it could be any of them except the bald guy. I don't feel like it's him.
What are they doing?
So, comparing the picture, the final scene of them, the Mayans looking down at clearly the Sons of Anarchy person that got killed in that final big battle, and the Sons of Anarchy people that showed up for the negotiation when Riz got killed, basically. Looking at those two and trying to compare to see if there's any way to tell who's who, I can't see it. I don't see
it. If it's somebody, because this guy has black hair, I can see, then it's the Spanish guy. If it's someone, but look at his jacket though. Look, could be if it's one of these, the Spanish guy, but he
right. Yeah,
looking at his
head.
That's
what I was saying. He doesn't look bald.
And it's not Jibs or this guy because of the hair. So it has to be the short Spanish guy.
Well, that's okay. Let's run with that theory. And what's his name?
Okay, obviously I didn't know who he was because I said short Spanish.
Short Spanish guy. Sorry. We don't know your name, but we'll warn you all the same. Well, okay, so we don't know exactly who it was that got killed, but we do know that this is potentially bigger than. First of all, it's really big because the Mayans said that they were going to back off, right? They agreed basically to, I don't know. They agreed to a conditional. Okay, everything is okay. Look, we've come to some kind of mediated peace, and then obviously that isn't what happened. And the fact that somebody from SOA is collateral damage is sort of, I think, a pretty big deal in terms of how they go forward with whatever plan they're going to go forward with. Because I mean, at this point, what do the Mayans do? I mean, they're not big enough as an organization to fight Sons of Anarchy. I don't know. I feel like they're not. I feel like the Mayans are not big enough of an organization, which means that they'd have to recruit somebody else in to help them. And maybe that's where things go in season 3. Maybe it's all about, recruiting help. Maybe it's Miguel. Maybe they, get some kind of cartel help. I don't know. It was an interesting season finale.
How do you even make that right? Somebody's going to
not just is somebody going to have to die, but I mean the retribution is going to be severe. I don't think it's going to be just quid pro quo. I started to use that at this time, but I mean, I don't think it's going to be one person dies just because I don't think that's going to cut it. It's not a life for a life. I think the Mayans have seriously breached the trust now of Sons of Anarchy because they agreed to broker a peace, and then they went totally back on it, and nope, that's not what happened. So yeah, it'll be an interesting season 3. But again, I'm going to go back to this because I think it's important to say, look, a lot of the stuff that has happened in the last half of this season feels like a pretty solid connection to similar things that happened in Sons of Anarchy. And I feel like that's actually a good template. I feel like if you stray too far from the template, then you lose what was really entertaining about Sons of Anarchy and the whole reason that you have a following in the first place.
Right. No, I agree. Yeah. But it's gonna be something else, though. So, I feel like.
As a side note, what did you think about how Felipe reacted to Dita? Just to kind of go back to that, because I do feel like there was a kind of a moment in there where it seemed like Felipe had lost some of his mojo.
When you say he lost his mojo,
I mean, he as a character, it felt like he had so much gravitas before. Well, not before. I mean, he still does, but it did the 2 episodes that ended this season, it felt like Felipe really fell apart. And I was just wondering what you felt about that. How did you think that?
Because he's dealing with he has so much grief, and he blames himself, and so he has so much grief over what happened, and I think that these are some old wounds that he just can't deal with. Now that scene where he told the boys to get the fuck out, I'm gonna handle it the way I handle it. I was like, oh, look at Pops, and they ran out too. They was like, they were not, but then he didn't really do it. So, so he was just, I guess, blowing smoke.
Well, it was, I feel like it was a really interesting progression for Felipe to kind of go through, because it both humanizes him in a way that I haven't seen before, but it also, I think, makes if I'm going to be able to find any kind of understanding about why he's, maybe it was bad. Right. Maybe it was because, look, I not only do I have to do this for justice for my mom, but I also have to do this because I know that my dad can't do it. And I mean, like, as thin as that is, at least it's something.
It's okay to kill for your family.
In the Mayans.
Wait a minute. Wouldn't you want your kids to kill for you? No, that's even better. I'd be like, get your butts out there and kill.
Look, you guys need to do sort of what happened. We talked about the Adidas story, but I think that
right. No, and yeah, it is very, very hard to, at times, to follow, like you said, in that regard. Yeah. So, no, I'm with you.
maybe because they were trying to bring Emily in more, such a, and it feels like in season 2 a paint of
No, yeah, I understand exactly what you mean. I'm not gonna miss their fireside chats with each other. You know what I mean?
Do exposition. Don't do character dialogue that is do it well. The Mayans happen. And
yeah, that's a great sin, I would say. Yeah, with the dialogue at times you're just like, oh Jesus.
yeah,
yeah.
like okay, you don't even make any sense, and from one
Right. Mm-hmm.
They need to work on that a little. So sort of close this out, and that is, do you
The best part of the season, I would say, is when Easy and Angel got into it with the brothers. I'm sorry, the Swole boys. That was hilarious. That is so funny.
That was a pick
that was a funny.
It brought to mind in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, and we need more swole boys to take out some money. Hilarious.
These are
Oh wow. Just excited for the new season. Hopefully everything will come together, and because the show is a really good show, and I enjoy it very much.
Past season. Makes that I feel like it'll be Kurt Sutter less. So without, it'll help clear up some of this stuff. I don't know. I also actually worry for the show without Kurt.
I agree with you, but I'm looking forward to seeing what Elgin does and his writers. So so it's fun. Great. I feel very confident that he's gonna fall on his. He's gonna end up on his feet.
On FX in terms of original series and even some of the older archives for quite some time. So that that relationship we just utter
Feel like that's the case. It's a bigger. Yeah. That would be funny. A Kurt Sutter Star Wars. They can get me at Kinte F on Twitter and Kinte Ferguson on Instagram. And of course, the website is indyradio.org, indyradio.org. Indie Radio, indyradio.org. How can they get you?